Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Maximize Your Lead Generation Systems with your MAPS coach, Richard Schulman. Please note this webinar is being recorded. You will automatically receive the webinar recording. If you have any questions for your coach, please type them into the questions box located in your webinar taskbar. Following the webinar, if you have any questions about today's call or coaching programs, please email us at fasttrack@kw.com. That's fasttrack@kw.com. That's all for me. Richard, take it away.
Hey, thanks, Holly. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our call, Marathon Lead Generation and Conversion. This is quite an honor for me to be able to teach this to you guys and work with you through this program. I've been working on this material for several years now, and it just keeps getting better and better. So let's jump right in. We have a little bit under 30 minutes of presentation today, and that will give you not only a very good overview of the course, which we'd love for you to sign up for, but also you'll get some really good actionable items. So the class starts Friday. My goal is to give you some good actionable items. You're going to see that today, and you're going to see results through the week, and hopefully you'll see that it's worth signing up for. So let's jump right in. A little bit of background on me and who I am and what I do. I've been at KW. This is my 13th year. I love all the training, Family Reunion, Mega Camp, FSO, ESO, CV many times. I do about 2 to 3 weeks of training a year. I did a business planning clinic and CV, career visioning at the end of last year. So I run a sales team here in the Los Angeles, Santa Monica market area, and we've sold about 1,500 homes, about $750 million in properties. It's a nice price point we work. Last year we did $138 million in sales on 160 sales. It's a 15-person team. I have a few other things that I do, rental properties, market centers, coaching, et cetera, et cetera. The reason I mention those things is the segue into what we're talking about today is everything that happens in the world of our businesses starts with lead generation and conversion, right? So everything that I do is lead generation and conversion, whether I'm lead generating, converting for potential buyers and sellers, or I'm lead generating and converting for what I'm doing a lot more of now is for team members, for talent for my operation. And it's a big mindset shift to really start to think about, okay, who is it out there that's going to help my business? And that's actually someone I have to go and find, right? I can't just wait for the right person to knock on the door. I've got to go out there and generate that lead. If I want to buy a rental property, I have to generate a lead for a good rental property. If I want an investment, I have to go out and generate that lead and convert that lead. So what I want you guys to see is that everything that we do from the beginning of real estate, which is just finding a buyer, to finding a CEO for your team or alternative investments, everything starts with lead generation and conversion. Everything stops without doing lead generation and conversion, right? Everything that we do, if we don't make those calls, make those emails, schedule those purposeful meetings, we're not going to achieve the results that we need. Now, Gary Keller says that we need to have 11 appointments face-to-face a week. It's Monday morning, at least here in Los Angeles, when we're filming this. So I know that when I go into the office today, I need to make 11 appointments face-to-face to accomplish my goals. So that's what I'll be working on today. That's what I want you guys to be working on today. There's me and Gary talking at Mega Camp last year. And what we talked about was the coffee date. We talked about a few other things, but the big thing was the coffee date. So what we did at Mega Camp, if you were there, you may remember, and if not, you can do it right now or you can do it after the call, is we had everyone in the room, and Gary included, texted people asking for a coffee date. So I'd encourage you to do that now if you can, or if not, do it right after the call. Text 7 people that you know. It doesn't have to be your best friends. It doesn't have to be people you've never met before, and just ask them to meet you for coffee this week, right? You should get 3 to 5 yeses, and I guarantee you if you do that every week of the year, you're going to find sales in that. I challenged one of my top new sales agents this year to have 200 coffee dates, and we'll see the results from that. One of my top agents did 40 coffee dates last month. I expect to see a very, very big first quarter out of those results. So it's a very simple text. It's, hey, Holly, do you want to grab coffee this week? And if Holly wants to, she'll say yes, and if she doesn't, she will ignore me or say no. And that's that. And then we'll go and make friends. Now, remember, people work with people they like, so all we need to do is make relationships and keep friendships. All right, I'm going to give you a couple other challenges, things to work on. We have a lot of homework in the class. We're working on improving a lot of things. Something I talked about with one of my agents this morning was that we know the material. We haven't mastered the material, right? You guys all know most of the material in this class. We haven't mastered the material, and we haven't mastered the proper sequence of the material. So after this call, I would love for you guys to sit down and make calls for one perfect hour. Call it your one perfect hour of calling. I would expect that you should have 20 to 25 purposeful dials and at least 1 to 2 appointments in an hour of dialing, right? As you get better at this and you grow to the auto dialers, you will start making 50 dials an hour on the single lines and 150 dials an hour on the triple lines, and we will get you there. But for now, the first skill that we teach agents is how to pick up the phone and dial 20 people in an hour and make 1 appointment. Now, I'd like you to try that afterwards. Most people, the first time they do it, are hitting like 12 to 15 dials per hour, and you can see an enormous differential of doing 12 to 15 versus doing 25, and even higher than that. Now, what I want you to think about when you sit down and do this perfect hour of dialing is that every time you do an hour of dialing and you get fewer than 25 dials per hour, you're stealing money from yourself, right? We're going to show you a better way to do it. One of the things I teach my team members and people in my MAPS classes is that I'm not looking for you to work more hours. I'm hoping and assuming that you guys are working a reasonable volume of work right now. What I want you to do is work better hours, right? We all know that some hours are better than others. I want every hour to be an incredible hour, right? There's no point in working unless you're going to give it an incredible effort, right? Nothing that we do should be anything less than incredible, because otherwise there's better things to do, right? We can see our family or, do something fun. Working less than full speed is not what we're here to do. So I want to teach you a better way to do it, and we're going to learn that throughout the class. The class starts Friday. Don't worry, there's more webinar coming up, but in case you were just really excited at this point, we're starting Friday morning, 11 Central, 9 Pacific, 12 Eastern. It's 5 one-hour webinars, and all the webinars are recorded for your convenience. Now let's talk a little bit more about what we're doing. Everything that we teach in the class online is the same things I'm teaching my team members day in, day out. We came across a really big revelation last year. At the end of 2017, which is a little more than a year ago now, my top salesperson retired from real estate. My number 2 salesperson had a baby and missed most of last year. My number 3 salesperson decided to work part-time. So what an exciting change. We let go of the sales manager and just started over. In 2018, last year, we had our best year ever. We had $138 million in sales, up from $125 million the year before, and that's including the last 3 months of the year. We're pretty slow because we're in the middle of a pretty hefty market shift here in the Los Angeles area. How do we do that? We did that by doubling down on the training of going through the exact same things in this webinar. Everything we do on the team for the last year, the training is almost exclusively focused on finding people, picking up the phone, calling them, and making an appointment with them. That's the entire class, is how do we absolutely master that experience. That's mostly what we've been practicing on as a team, because I know that if we can get a face-to-face meeting, the chance that we get a signed buyer contract or seller contract is very good, and that once we have one of those signed contracts, the chance we get paid on that transaction is also very good. So what I needed to do is master the beginning. Find people, put them into a funnel, and then make an appointment with them to meet with them face-to-face. So we did that. We got $138 million in sales. A lot of the salespeople were new to the team or upgraded from admin staff to sales. And we expect to have an even bigger year next year. Now here's some math for you. Now imagine that you're doing the calling and you're going from 15 to 25 dials. I want you to have a big mindset moment here of that you're going to be making 5,000 more calls this coming year than last year, working the same number of hours. Can you get more face-to-face appointments in 5,000 dials? I certainly hope so. So I want you to really think big, right? It's January, it's the beginning of the year. We have the opportunity to set habits and activities at the beginning of this year that we will see the results of all year long. Now, Maureen asks a really good question about the coffee date. The coffee date is just let's have a coffee and be friends, Maureen. It's someone you know, either a social friend or a past client or potential future client. And the only purpose is to go and make friends. And what I find when you have these coffee dates, the conversation almost immediately will turn to real estate. Real estate seems to be the most interesting thing people want to talk about. Most people don't want to talk about their jobs, but they do want to talk about real estate. If they do, you have a potential buyer or seller, and if they don't, then they're not interested. So you move along, but you've made a friend, and you might get a referral. I do the coffee dates, Maureen, because they tend to be very brief, 20 to 30 minutes, whereas a lunch might be an hour and change, right? Okay. If you guys have questions, you can go ahead and pop them into the question tab at the bottom. I'll try to get to as many as I can. If not, we'll get to them after. We'll send you an email after the call. Okay, so let's get into the nuts and bolts of the presentation of what we want to work on today. Here are some things, actionable things you can use to take home with you and use today. So the first thing, you guys know this, we're not doing it, right? I observe salespeople all day long, we're not doing it. When we're calling, we've got to call with purpose. We'll talk about purpose in 1 second. Are you standing when you're calling? Are you pacing? Are you walking around? We just bought a walking desk for our office so people can lead gen from the walking desk. You will see some pictures and updates on that. I have a standing desk here at the office. I hope that you can hear my enthusiasm through the phone. If you didn't hear my enthusiasm through the phone, you probably are not going to invest in this class. And if your clients don't hear it, they're not going to want to meet with you, right? So how do we deliver maximum energy for our calls? Keep a mirror on your desk. Watch yourself in the mirror. Smile and dial is a real thing, right? Smile while you're talking to people. They can feel your smile through the phone. Why aren't we doing these things, right? One of the things we're going to work on is purpose, right? What's our goal for each call, right? Does anyone know what's the goal of a phone call, right? Do we have a monetization of a phone call? Why don't we have that, right? Why are we missing that key element, right? I don't like making phone calls. I don't know anyone who actually really likes making phone calls. My top agent last year in dials made something like 15 or 18,000 dials last year. That's a lot of phone calls. It's a lot of no's. It's a lot of busies and hang-ups and voicemails, right? What makes you motivated to keep doing that? We need to have goals for each call. I used to have a very analytic answer to that question. We would take your potential gross income divided by the number of phone calls, and that got really into the weeds as far as how many calls and what was that worth and how do you score that. So I just decided this, and I printed up a sign, and I put it in my desk where I can see it, and I decided that every time I pick up the phone and dial someone, it's worth $100 to me. So if I pick up the phone and dial 20 people, I think that's worth $2,000 to me over time. I would really encourage you guys to believe that too, to feel that. Make a sign. What do you think your calls are worth? Are you a top closer, and if you get an appointment, you're getting a sale? Are you newer? I think calls are worth $50 to $100 a piece. The next time you feel like you want to not make your last contact of the day, remember that, right? And this is for dials, not for contacts. I think your contact's worth a lot more, right? Set a value for your contacts and setting a value for your dials. Understand what it's worth to you and connect with your goal. Now, what's the point of the phone call, right? I find that a lot of us are just picking up the phone so that we can hit our 20 contacts and go home. We're picking up the phone because we have a list of 86 people to call today, and we need to mark off that we've done it. That's the wrong approach, right? The point of a phone call is to set appointments. We need to be calling people to meet with them face-to-face in person, right? Remember what Gary said, 11 face-to-face appointments every single week, right? If you're not doing that, and you're probably not, because let me tell you that is very tough to do, that's 2 a day plus 1, right? 2 every weekday plus 1, right? It's a lot of appointments to set. It's a lot of appointments to go on, right? We need to focus on our absolute goal is to make appointments. We pick up the phone, make appointments. Now, one of the key things we work on for 2 hours of the 5-hour call is setting appointments over the phone. There's a real art to it. First of all, when we're setting an appointment, we don't want to have a 20-minute conversation. A 20-minute conversation is an appointment. We have a 3-minute rule. We want to set an appointment, get off the phone in 3 minutes. That's one of the ways you keep your dials up. And then we want to learn how to script for a valuable appointment that's qualified so we know how to go in there and sign a contract at the appointment, right? We're going to cover all of this in calls 3 and 4, so we'll have a very deep understanding of how to master this very tiny interaction. The appointment setting phone call is the absolute most important thing you can do. Don't worry about how good your listing presentation is until you know how to make a lot of them. I talked with a new agent at the office. He went on 2 listing appointments last year, and he was very concerned with the quality of the listing presentation. I told him until you're going on 2 a week or 2 a month, it doesn't matter, right? Whether you're converting 100% or 50%, the difference is only one transaction. You need to be converting a much higher number of appointments out of your phone calls, right? We're going to spend a lot of time really mastering this down to the very grainy details. I'll give you a little bit of a taste so you can see what we're talking about. The first script that we used is the tell, don't ask script. The tell, don't ask script is the very simple idea that instead of being in a position of weakness, we take a position of power, right? So write this down, that we are the position of power in the conversation. We are directing the conversation. We are leading the conversation. We are the expert here, right? When you go to your doctor or your lawyer or your accountant or whomever like that, we are, as the consumer, we feel in their debt. Oh, thank you for seeing me, doctor, right? I'm glad that you're able to squeeze me in today. Have your clients take the same approach to you, right? Feel that you are the same expert with them, because when you take the same level of expertise with them, they will respect you more, right? So when you're talking to people, we're going to be working on a scripting procedure that I call tell, don't ask. And the idea there is that we're going to be telling people what to do versus asking them what they want to do, right? Here's the example. If you go to the doctor's office, the doctor says, here's how we're going to treat that, right? You go to your accountant, the accountant says, here's how we're going to reduce your taxes. You don't argue with them. You don't tell them what to do. You pay them for their advice and you listen to them. We need people to treat their realtor relationship the exact same way. And the reason they don't is because we let them do it a different way and we ask them what they want to do. Do you want to meet with me? Do you want to tour homes? Do you want to meet with me to sell your home? Can I come over, please? I would love to meet with you, right? These are not the things we want to be doing, right? We want to be telling them that we're going to be coming over. So write these scripts down and practice them. One of the big changes we made in the last 12 months on the team is that we're doing all of our training. People are required to write it down by hand. We're not letting people type notes anymore. So we're going to be writing notes together as a group. First, speak to the lender and get pre-approved, and then after you get pre-approved, I can meet with you, and then we can tour homes. Do you see the difference there? The difference there is that we're talking to the buyer as an expert, and we're telling them what to do, right? This is the buyer, very basic buyer call script, right? And there's a lot of nuance we'll get into on this and how to change the words around. But the idea is that we're telling them what's going to happen. We're not saying, do you want to get approved for a loan? We're not saying, well, yeah, let's meet, and then you can talk to a lender. We're telling them, first, you're going to talk to the lender and get pre-approved. Once you have that pre-approval, I'll be very happy to meet with you, and then we can tour homes, right? We're telling them the exact process of buying a home. Now, this may seem very basic. I hear agents all day long telling people, sure, let's go tour homes. Have you had a buyer meeting? No. Is the buyer approved? I don't know. Well, those are big problems. We don't do tours on my team unless the buyer is pre-approved for a loan, preferably with one of our vendors, and we've had a buyer meeting and had a buyer broker signed. If you're doing it a different way than that, you're making a mistake, right? So we need to take charge of these conversations. First, speak to the lender and get pre-approved. Then I'll meet with you, and then we can tour homes. Here's the same script idea for a seller. The best thing for me to do is to come to your home and give you a personalized evaluation. Is Tuesday or Wednesday better? Right? So what we want to do here is we want to tell them what the best thing to do is, right? We're not asking them, could I please come to your home and give you a valuation? Do you mind if I look at the house? Do you want to know what your house is worth? Great. The best thing for me to do is to come to your home and give you a personalized evaluation. Is Tuesday or Wednesday better? Write that down. It's a very small change in scripting, right? A lot of you are probably thinking, well, I'm pretty much saying this right now. Pretty much is not saying it, right? If we want to change the conversion rate from 3% to 4%, this is how you do it. 3% to 4% is not a 1% raise in conversion rate. It's a 33% raise in conversion rate, right? If we're going to make 5,000 more phone calls this year, which we all are, we've all agreed to that, right? No one's left the webinar yet, so everyone's agreed we're making 5,000 more calls this year than we did last year. Then we will need to increase our conversion rate. If we make 2% better conversion rate, it's going to make a lot of difference over 5,000 additional dials, right? I hope that makes sense to everyone. We're talking about very large numbers. We want to perfect our results on very large numbers. Let's look at one more script. So we'll take a look at that house, and then afterwards I can show you a couple more. Which time is best for you, right? We're telling them we're not going to just show you one house. We're going to show you a few houses, right? Why? One of the least efficient things we can do is take a buyer out to see exactly one home. We want to show you 3 homes. As long as we're out in the car and sitting in traffic in the rain, we might as well look at a few houses, right? So we're taking charge of the conversation. We're telling the buyers what's what. You guys are all probably saying a very similar script right now, but you're asking permission. Can I show you a couple more? Do you have time to see a couple more? I'm not asking that. I'm telling you we're going to go see a couple more homes right after this. The idea being that if you take charge of the conversation, the clients will respect you more as the expert, and they will want to work with you more than someone else. Now, something we're going to talk a lot about, and I know a lot of you have taken the call before. I think this is our 10th time running through Marathon Lead Generation. We've had a couple thousand people through. We update the material every time. We've cut down on the auto dialer training a lot because a lot of the auto dialer companies have their own training, and we'll link you to that. So we'll give you some auto dialer strategy. In place, we've added a lot of material on mindset and business planning, especially for the beginning of the year. Something we're going to spend a lot of time on this year, especially January class, especially in the shifting market. If you're not in the shifting market, it's because you don't know that you're not. I mean, it's happening everywhere, and my answer to people is that the market has shifted way more than you realize, right? Just because of the data you're seeing doesn't indicate it. Here in the LA area, the market has moved a lot more than people realize. How do you sell people real estate? How do you broker real estate in the shifting market? I said we had a slow quarter last year. We still knocked out a $17 million November and a $10 million December. And I expect we'll have big numbers first quarter. People are still buying and selling homes. It's a question of whether or not you're going to be in the middle of those homes, right? Now, the biggest challenge we have is people knowing there's a shift and saying, well, I just want to wait 6 or 12 months. And so here's the answer to that. Write this down. I'll give you a second. Write it down. If I could show you an opportunity in today's market, would you be able to meet tomorrow or Friday, right? Who's going to say no to that? If someone doesn't want to see an opportunity in today's market and they say, no, I don't want to meet with you, guess what? You just saved time because that person's not going to buy anything anytime soon. But I guarantee you, if you go and call people, go call 25 people right after this and say, you know what, Holly, I've got a great opportunity to show you. Are you able to see it tomorrow or Friday? Or there is opportunity in the marketplace. Once we meet to talk this week, I can show you a few homes. You will get people excited, right? The right person, the person who's actually going to pull the trigger and buy, is very excited to hear that you have an opportunity to show them, right? We're not having any trouble using this script getting people excited about a buyer meeting, a buyer-broker agreement meeting, or once we have them signed to a buyer-broker and they decide to put the search on hold, when you tell them there's an opportunity, they're very excited, right? Real estate's an emotional business on top of a factual business. We need people to get excited about real estate. Now, we do have to then go find them an opportunity, by the way. It's not part of this class, but just keep in mind, you actually do have to have an opportunity. You have to have something to say, hey, this property has a motivated seller, right? This property is for sale for less than what the comp is, right? There has to actually be something on the back end. But by using this script and write this down and use it, write this down in big letters, keep it on a card, tape it to your monitor, tape it to your laptop, put it right in front of you, read this script. You will get people wanting to meet with you. If you can't get people to meet with you using this script, we're doing something else wrong we need to talk about. Now, we're going to talk a lot about the shift and how to handle scripting for shift. We'll talk about seller script shifting as well. So how do we set seller meetings in this shift? All right, so here's a couple things we're going to go over in the class, just to give you an idea of what's going to happen. If you have any questions, let me know, and I'll be happy to answer them. If we don't get to the questions, we'll get back to you afterwards. During each call of the 5 calls, we answer questions, every question during the class. There's also a Facebook group, and you have my contact info if you have other questions. So every question gets answered. Everyone gets personal attention. Number 1, we're going to increase your call volume, right? First step. If we can't increase your call volume, then we can't do all the other things we need to do. So first step, we're going to increase call volume. Then we're going to increase our conversion rate. Conversion rate is a 2-step process. So conversion rate is, number 1, we need to increase our scripting skill. And number 2, we need to perfect our funnel. So in the second call, I'm going to give you a written funnel plan of how to handle each lead. A lead comes in, and how are we going to follow up with that lead? It's a very comprehensive program. It's all written out so you can copy it. We do a lot on habit building. I'm very big into habit building. I love the one thing. I love the power of habit. If we're Facebook or Instagram friends, you'll see I just did my business planning clinic, which was a really productive event. So we'll talk all about business habits because these things all interplay. I'm really big on cutting time wasting, right? As you heard me mention at the top of the call, we're not going to waste time on bad leads, and we're not going to waste time by poor follow-up on good leads, right? I want to make every minute of our day very powerful. And then, like I promised you at the beginning, everything we do here, my team takes the call repeatedly. When I have a new agent onboarded, they're required to memorize the call before they start with the team. So everything we do on the call is the same thing the team does. The class is going to start this Friday, January 11th, 11 Central, 9 Pacific, 12 Eastern. It's 5 one-hour webinars. Kelly, I know I talk very quickly. I'm trying to give you at least 10 hours of material in 5 webinars. There's a lot to cover. All the webinars are recorded so that you can play them back and take notes. I would recommend that you listen to each webinar at least twice and take notes. It's the best way to learn. We also provide written materials, support materials in the Facebook group, and as well written materials for each class. So you can sign up at marathonconversion.com. MAPS Coaching will email you a sign-up link right afterwards as well. You'll also get a replay, so you can watch it again. I hope that you guys found a lot of value in here. It's sort of a teaser call to give you a little bit of idea of what we do. If you decide to take the class, you'll get 5 more hours of this, plus a lot of pre-recorded material in the Facebook group that we have. And if not, I hope you find a lot of value in it anyways. When you get the link, we'd love for you to sign up, and then also love for you to forward that to a friend or colleague who might benefit from it. So thanks, guys, for sitting on the call with me. If you have any questions, let us know. And, we'll be in touch, and we'll be looking forward to talking to you on Friday. Question in from Rosemary. If you miss a class, you can access the recordings. Yeah, absolutely. The recordings are good for, I believe, 90 days from the beginning of the class or so, and you'll have access to all of the calls during that time. So if you can't make a class for whatever reason, you can listen to the recording a couple of times. And we also put a lot of support material in the Facebook group and on the online system. So thanks, guys. I think that's all the questions. MAPS will send an email out. If you have any more questions, just email MAPS, and MAPS or I will get back to you ASAP. Your homework for right now is to go and text message 7 people and ask them to meet with you for coffee. After that, you owe me 1 perfect hour of calling and report your results in. We'd love to hear how you're doing. If you're not hitting the results you need, we can help you do that. Last question. The Facebook group is you're invited after the sign up for the call, so you get a link. And then if you have a single line dialer, Rebecca, yeah, most of my team uses single line. We're working on the triple line, although it's a lot. It's a lot to handle. So I promise you this, Rebecca, if you can master the scripts and use the single line dialer, you'll do just fine. The triple line is pretty intense, and it's a great add-on, but it's not necessary. But we do want, by the end of the call, everyone using a single line dialer to get maximum results. Lots of questions today. I'll stick around and answer the questions, guys. Don't worry. If you have a dial, if you don't have a dialer, you should get one. Yeah, you don't need one right away, but you should get one in the next month because once we learn the skills, you'll want to start using the dialer. We use a Mojo dialer, although I tell you, dialers like everything. It's the one you use, so just whatever one is easiest for you to use. That's the only one we've ever used, so I couldn't tell you that other ones are good or not good, but we like that one. Who are we calling? Well, we're going to talk about who we call in the first call. We're going to talk about database. I believe that database, if you saw me talk with Gary, and if you go on KW Connect and see that, Richard Schulman at MegaCamp, I believe that database is the best source of people to call. I think it's the easiest calls to make and the most profitable. All the scripting works for expireds and FSBOs, et cetera, but I want to really focus on database. That's where the best money is, the best clients are. All right, I think that's everyone, guys. Thanks for sticking on the call. I'll look forward to seeing you. Please sign up at marathonconversion.com or MAPS will send you a link right now with a replay. Have a great day, and I will talk to you soon.